going to pause for a moment and hope that you will see me live shortly. And I apologize for those people who do watch live that I don't comment to, because in the new Facebook Live producer you cannot see people who are commenting. So that's a new skill I need to learn for next year. So it's Wellness Wednesday and I hope you are well. I've had to cool down the room today because, oh my lord, the humidity in Townsville after our rainstorm last night is frightening today, and I've tried not to moan about it, but it has been a rather challenging, sweaty morning so far. But anyway, so I thought I'd just give you a quick update on what's been happening and what's going to happen, and I will share with you a new poem that I've written and talk about a few other things. So last week, as you'll remember, I had a road trip to Charters Towers Thursday, Friday, and on Thursday I got to read copies of both my children's books to primary students at All Souls and St Gabriel's, and that was relevant because as I went to All Souls and St Gabriel's as an 11-year-old boarder. So it was nice to go back, and in fact one of the teachers was at boarding school with me, so it was lovely to see her after maybe 35 years and we recognized each other, so that was very sweet. And I had a fun time reading the books to the kids because a lot of them live in rural areas, so they could relate to the stories, and also I could relate to them as well, so that was super fun. And then I donated some of my books to the library in Charters Towers, and then on Friday morning I got to be, I was invited to be guest speaker for the awards day at All Souls and St Gabriel's, which was essentially graduation day for many of the seniors, but also awards across the entire school. So that was very special, and again I got to see many people that I had not seen for 30 years. And I got to talk about the skills that I learned growing up on a cattle station, as well as going to boarding school, which have steered me and kept me safe and allowed me to progress in my life all around the world, wherever I've traveled and wherever I've lived. I've lived in 7 countries. Leaving home when you're 11 to go to boarding school prepares you for a lot of things, a lot of challenges, as does basic skills of cooking and cleaning and looking after yourself. And I did joke as well that I learnt to type at boarding school on an old school typewriter. And at the beginning of the talk, the VIPs in the room were introduced. There was 500 people in a dark auditorium, so you can't necessarily see all the faces in the crowd, but I heard them announce my typing teacher. So I got to kind of thank her and say hello for teaching me to type on a typewriter, because when people ask me how come I can write books so fast, I say it's because I'd learned to touch type on a typewriter, and when I can write minutes for meetings so fast, it's because I can listen and touch type. So those skills were invaluable, and I learned them in year 8 at boarding school. So that was fun. And then after the talk, which was well received, and people laughed when I had hoped they would laugh, and thanked me, I got to meet my typing teacher, so I gave her a copy of my book Broken to Unbreakable, and she asked me a little bit about what class I was in, and then she asked me for a copy of my speech to put into the school museum. So I dug out some photos yesterday of me as a grubby 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old and put them with the speech and sent them to her. So let's see what happens with that. So it was a really, really fun and interesting time, and then I got to host a book signing at Grand Secret Books, which was lovely, and also to meet families who had been in the awards talk and could come and chat with me. So it was a really special time to kind of reconnect with people I hadn't seen for a very, 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 very long time, and to share my stories with people who are graduating and starting to make their way out into the world, but also to inspire younger people, because some of the intentions that I set as a 10 or 11-year-old girl have been my biggest achievements in life. So you're never too young to set intentions, and I talked about that, and to be brave and to talk to strangers and to go out into the world and do stuff rather than try and be something, but to do stuff. So that was some of the points that I covered in my talk. What else? yesterday, or been finishing our new book. So I told you about a book I collaborated on with the Polymer Environmental Education Centre. So now the book is ready to go to print, and I sent a copy to print last night. So this book is going to be available internationally very, very soon. It's called Stories from the Rainforest and Beyond, Polymer Environmental Education Centre Writers Camp 2021 with Matt B. Lewis and Chrissy Regan. So the book was written and illustrated by students who attended a writers camp at Polymer Environment Education Centre in 2021. The purpose of the camp was to expose children to the natural environment, creative writing and illustrating. The children experienced a variety of lived experiences in the rainforest, in addition to a treasure hunt, code breaking, storytelling and nature cycles. The aim was to encourage children to connect to their environment with their head, heart and hands, and to inspire their creativity and imagination. The camp was hosted by 2 local authors, Matt B. Lewis, Chrissy Regan, who helped the children to take their own stories and to become published authors. And there's a little bit of information about Matt and a little bit of information about myself. This book is available to buy internationally on most major platforms as a paperback book. Proceeds raised from the sale of this book will be donated to support conservation projects in Polymer and future writers' camps. So that's really cool. And then we share all of the children's stories who participated in the book. So we have more than 30 stories, and they're beautiful stories. So this book will be available to order online. I'll share the link on my social pages, and I'll have some copies for sale with me at events that I have coming up over the next few weeks. I'd encourage you to support this book because you're supporting the environment and you're supporting future writers, which is very, very special. So I'm looking forward to getting my first printed copy in the next few days. Today I am headed down to Ayr this afternoon. So in Ayr I will be catching up with some potential co-hosts for my retreat, which is in March 2022, and I will be stopping in on some book stockers, and then this evening I'm having a Christmas dinner with my friends from Rostrum, which is a public speaking group in Ayr and Home Hill, and we will be sharing Christmas dinner and no doubt some funny stories of stuff that have happened throughout this year. So I'm looking forward to spending an afternoon catching up with people down in Ayr and Home Hill. And then Friday evening I will be at the Delhi Markets, which is a new market initiative hosted by the South Pacific Taekwondo and Dalrymple Squash Courts. There is 5:30 to 7:30, and it's called a wine and shop evening, and it's a great evening for families to come together and to spend some time connecting and networking and shopping from local Townsville suppliers of a range of different and beautiful products. And then this Sunday I will be co-hosting and joining with Sandala community, and I will be reading some stories to children. It's a family picnic at Sir Optimus Park, 8 till 10 a.m. There will be yoga and games. It's free to attend, and you can just bring a plate to share. And so that will be a really fun morning, which is a final event for the Sandala community this Sunday. So do come along if you're in Townsville with your children and enjoy the morning. And then that's it for this week. So next week there's a few exciting things happening, and next week I hope to make an announcement for a project that I have in planning for January 2022. So I'm working hard towards that over the next few days and weeks. So do join me next week, and I hope to reveal a little bit more about that project. So I thought I would leave you with a poem that I was working on last night, and here it is. You can see I wrote it in my journal. My journal this year was Espresso Yourself. So everyone knows I love coffee. Everyone knows I think we should express ourselves. So that I'm almost coming to the end of this journal. Actually, I've only got a few pages left, so I'll have to start a new journal for 2022. And then I've put the poem into this page, which I will post in the comments as well. So this poem is the difference between kind of fear and faith. And what's inspired this poem recently is that I've met a lot of children in my travels, and they say things to me like they're afraid to come to school. I also know that there's a lot of fear in the world, what's going on and what's being mandated by our governments, and what's also being reported in the media, and a lot of fear around making decisions and around fear of what's going to happen in the future. So it's caused me to think a lot about the difference between, living in a state of fear, perpetuating fear and spreading and sharing fear, versus trying to find balance in faith. So, and I don't just mean biblical faith, religious faith. There's different kinds of faith that you can draw on. So I'll read this poem to you, and then hopefully you'll understand what I'm talking about. So I think of it, do we want to be buried in fear, or do we want to be joyous in faith? And leading up to Christmas, I would rather feel joyous in faith than buried in fear. So this poem has two parts. The first part is called Part 1, Fear. So fear is relative, they say. Things will get better one day. There is still hope yet, and lest we forget. So don't cry over spilt milk, or wrap them in cotton and silk. Toughen up, don't be afraid. Feelings and emotions are forbade. We don't want no sissies here. It'll be all right now, chin up, dear. You must hide your truest self, and put your gifts upon the shelf. If others see you in fear, you'll find no sympathy here. So get up, get along, and pretend nothing's wrong. Harden your heart, and be strong from the start. Move along, there's nothing to see here. You are totally alone in your fear. Part 2, Faith. Faith is for the foolish, they say. More fool them, I pray. I have faith that things will work out, not stuck in fears, worry and doubt. I see my fear, and I challenge its worth, feeling my emotions and what they unearth. I'm aware of my fear rising. In life, it's not so surprising. Our work, our home, our place, you can see the fear in many a face. But rather than turn a blind eye, just stop and ask why. Fear is normal and should not cause withdrawal. So take your time and be kind. Fear comes from our reptilian mind. Feeling fear will help you grow, and having faith will help you know. So take a breath and find your faith. Your fear is just trying to keep you safe. So that's a kind of a mindfulness poem about the difference between fear and faith. And rather than be buried in fear, we can be joyous in faith that things will work out, and our fears are just trying to keep us safe, and therefore they hold us back from achieving, reaching, and believing in potential possibilities, and so on and so forth. So I hope that's helpful for you. It's been helpful for me to write it and to share it, and I'm very excited about stories from the rainforest and beyond, not only to help our environment but also to help children express themselves, to overcome fears, and to feel good about the world in which they live, and to appreciate nature as well as connections. So take care of yourself. I'm looking forward to getting out and about tonight and over the next few days, and I'm looking forward to seeing you real soon. Okay, love you lots. Take care. Bye.